Melania Trump doth protest. She may be Mrs. Donald Trump number 3 in a series, but hands off her First Lady bona fides. Whilst otherwise doing a pretty good impression of a Stepford first spouse, Melania has hardly put a foot wrong at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, except maybe for stepping out in stiletto heels heading to a hurricane disaster photo op. And she did change into sneakers aboard Air Force One. Aside, high heels should never be worn with jeans. It's a skank look, and to a large extent, Mrs. Trump garners the sympathy vote for being conjugally yoked to that man. But now we know where the buck stops for the dough in the White House. Ivana Trump can go to hell. It may have been a joke when Mrs. Trump number 1 flapped her Botox-injected lips to Good Morning America on Monday, laying claim to prior ownership of the First Lady designation. I don't want to cause any kind of jealousy or something like that, because I'm basically first Trump wife. Okay, I'm First Lady, well, Melania wasn't taking that lying down. She retorted with a snark, meowing that Ivana, on book-thumping tour for Raising Trump, a memoir about rearing the Trump spawn, should basically shut the F up, rather than spewing nonsense. The Second Third Wives Club is surely applauding. A formal statement issued by Melania's communications director tour of strip-off 68-year-old Mrs. Trump Passam. There is clearly no substance to this statement from an ex. This is unfortunately only attention-seeking and self-serving noise. Interestingly, for a president who machine-gun tweets at the drop of a gripe, there was no comment from the Donald, as Ivana famously referred to him in their years as a marital unit. Moron he may be, as Secretary of State Rex Tillerson allegedly called the boss, but smart enough not to get in the middle of a pissing contest between Mrs. Trumps. There's no upside wading into that domestic battlefield. Anyway, this column isn't about Madams Trump, specifically. But Flotus, offended, has certainly raised her protest placard. It's about the art of the protest. Because everybody's doing it, either protesting or protesting against protesting. In a clearly choreographed maneuver, a stunt, Vice President Mike Pence fussily departed an NFL game over the weekend after a dozen San Francisco 49ers took a knee during the national anthem. I'll see your protest and raise you a walkout. I left today's Colts game because at POTUS, and I will not dignify any event that disrespects our soldiers, our flag, or our national anthem, Pence overcapitalized on Twitter. Meanwhile, down in Dallas, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, who admirably linked arms and knelt in solidarity with his players just 2 weeks ago, has had a change of heart, or whatever that thing is that beats inside his rich and privileged white chest. Well, have no more of that First Amendment impudence, flip-flop, Jones declared. Herewith, any cowboy disrespecting the flag won't play, period. Although it's unclear how Jones interprets disrespect for Old Glory and the Star-Spangled Banner, particularly since NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell had made it clear that players could express themselves without retribution. But Jones is a well-heeled, well-connected one-percenter. Perhaps he has the luxury of default protesting the NFL policy. You see, those with power can always protest against those without much power, which, yes, includes wealthy pro-athletes, and dress it up as dignified righteousness, as opposed to, I guess, undignified symbolism, in this case mostly black athletes expressing their dismay over black civilians being shot and killed in distressing numbers by cops. The status quo constituency, which apparently includes the millions of football fans who just can't bear having their sports intermingled even a smidge with politics, have essentially usurped the entirely respectful and peaceful protest endeavor. The protest has been uprooted from its foundation, distorted and now recast as treasonous. There seem to be all sorts of rules these days for restricting civil rights principles that are the very pillars of protest. Anything remotely inconveniencing or overt or so much as maybe making you think twice about an issue you'd rather not thinking about at all, racism, say, is being battered into submission. Don't block traffic. Don't set up outside police headquarters. Don't stall a pride parade. Don't leave the designated protest pen at a political event. Don't rally around monuments. Don't march. Don't bang the drums too loudly. Don't wear balaclavas. Don't don baseball caps over police hats. Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders has warned this rank-and-file protest won't be tolerated for long. Don't promote boycotts. At ESPN, it will get you suspended. Don't speak at university campuses. These ever-expanding protest rules come from the right, and they come from the left. What then is the point? What then is left? America, far more than Canada, has a cultural history of dissent via peaceful and non-peaceful protest. But it doesn't take much scratching beneath the surface to reveal that Americans have precious little emotional patience or intellectual regard for the virtues of protest. At the very least, those endlessly irritated by such expression insist on establishing the goalposts. It is just another form of bondage. Sacrosanct flag my ass. For the kneeling footballers, it's about how they should protest without offending white people. That's it in a white pistachio nutshell. Way back at the dawn of the U.S. Civil Rights Movement, 1963, when Martin Luther King Jr. led the March on Washington, a Gallup poll found that 60% of the country had a negative view of an event now recalled as a ringing clarion call for racial equality, and 57% thought peaceful sit-ins hurt the civil rights movement. A year later, 73% of Americans believed Negroes should stop mass demonstrations. Trump and Pence and the Jerry Joneses of this world would yank America back to those entrenched white privilege times. If Melania Trump can protest her exclusive FLOTUSness because status matters, then there's not one person in the U.S. that needs bend a knee to ruling status quo convention. Rosie DiManno usually appears Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday.